What's up, guys? As Megan said earlier, this sermon series is all about learning more about Jesus, and I'm here to continue that. So to start off, I want to know how many of you guys have a person that just really gets you in your life. Like, they always know what you're thinking. They've been there, like, maybe your whole life. It can be a really good friend, a sibling, or something. For me, personally, that person is my older sister, Megan. This is a picture of my sister and I when I went to visit her a couple months ago, where she lives now in Gainesville. But, so she's 20. She's older than me. So basically, she's been around me for my entire life. And I think because of this, it helps her really understand, like, what I want and, like, what I'm thinking every time. Like, she can just look at me, and without a word, she just knows my thought process behind everything. And, yeah, that is kind of like the relationship we all have with Jesus. Jesus gets each and every one of us, and he really understands what we're thinking. So, you might be wondering how Jesus, a man who lived thousands of years ago, can understand us today, because his life was definitely not the same. But right now, I want you guys to close your eyes, or just keep them open, but think of a time, think of some area in your life right now where you might feel alone or you're going through some kind of trouble. It can be anything in your day-to-day life, maybe, I don't know, losing some friends or something. I don't know what you guys got going, but you got it? Okay. So, the truth is that we're all going to face trouble at some point in our life. It was probably pretty easy to think of something right now, and we all got something going on. And in these moments, we can always use someone who understands us. It can be anybody, and Jesus. So, in these moments that we were just thinking of, or just anytime you're in trouble, you may wonder if God even cares. Like, because you might not feel him in your everyday life. So you may be confused, like, does God even notice or care right now that I'm in trouble or that I need help? And yeah, it can be a big question that how can Jesus be the one who understands if it never even feels like he's there? But this past week, when I've been preparing for this sermon, I've been looking for scripture to use, and I've been reading the Bible more, and I have found that the more you read about Jesus, because the Bible's full of stories that Jesus' peers, like things that they saw and heard him do, and they decided to write down. And I found that reading these things can really help you get to know Jesus a lot better. And I've done that. I found that while Jesus was here on earth, this kind of surprised me, he actually had a lot of struggles just like us. He was ditched by friends. He's felt hated at some points. He's gone through sadness. He's gone through loneliness. He's been tempted. He's even felt hunger and frustration, and he's been hurt. These are things that we all feel. And that is how Jesus can relate to us. So I personally, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like when I think of Jesus, I don't think of someone who is struggling. I feel like I just always think he had like the perfect life. I never really thought about how he lived an everyday life just like each and every one of us. And he was a real person because he was God, but also human. So one example of where he found trouble is in John chapter 6, verse 66. I think he says, it's basically about his disciples turning and no longer following him. It was right there. Yeah. It said, from this time, many of his disciples turned his back and no longer followed him. This is huge. This is one of the biggest troubles Jesus faced in his life, because his disciples are supposed to be the people who are closest to him, and they turned on him. That is something big that it can happen to all of us. It might be what we're going through right now. But John also wrote in chapter 16, he said, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, for I have overcome the world." The last part of that verse is a really important part, because we can break it up into the good part and the bad part. The bad part is obviously that in this world you will have trouble. There's no way you can avoid trouble. Everyone's going to have it at some point in their lives. They're going to face problems. But the story doesn't end there, and that is the cool thing. Because Jesus says, "But take heart, for I have overcome the world." Not only has Jesus been there, like the example I showed before, but he's also overcome it. He's stronger than it. He knows how to get through what we're all going through right now. And in all the problems that we have in our daily life, Jesus is with us, so we're never alone. There are a few ways he can work through people. The first thing he can do is he can work through his people, so your peers. He can find, I don't know exactly what's going on in your life, but he can find a way to work through them to help whatever your problem is, because he knows and he's been there. The other way is through his word, what's in the Bible. Things that he said can help. Like, if you have a problem, you can look up like Bible verses to help with a lot of problems, and things that Jesus said or was written about him can really help. His commandments also, it's kind of the same thing, but if you follow his commandments, it'll help you avoid a lot of trouble. It's not going to eliminate it completely, because nothing can really do that, but it can help you minimize trouble. And also through his Spirit. The Holy Spirit can make us stronger and help us through whatever we're going through. So no matter what's going on, Jesus gets it and he can help. And Jesus doesn't want us to be alone, any of us. He came onto this earth so he could experience trouble. And now, because he did that, he knows how to help us. And yeah, because of Jesus, you're never alone. This is kind of similar to Jim Carrey, actually. Jim Carrey, it might look like he's got a great life on the outside. He's a really funny guy. But he actually faced a lot of trouble throughout his whole life. He grew up in a poor household. He had to drop out of school at age 15 to help his family survive. And yeah, his family was living in a van for most of his childhood, but he still overcame trouble and has become very successful, just like Jesus. Now, I want you to think back to that place earlier where I say close your eyes and think of whatever's going on in your life right now. And there are 3 ways that you can utilize the fact that you're never alone with Jesus to help you. The first thing is to talk to Jesus about your troubles. This is just kind of, I like to say that instead of pray, because personally sometimes I feel like pray sounds a little too fancy. I'm like, oh, I don't feel like praying. That's like, I don't know how to describe it. But it's just basically talking to Jesus. I would recommend finding a quiet place, and I like to talk out loud. It might look like I'm just talking to myself, but I'm talking to Jesus. No, I'm talking out loud, but you can talk in your head, you can write it down on paper, you can even type it on your phone or something, but however you do it, Jesus is there and he's listening because he cares about us and he wants us to get through whatever we're going through. The second thing is to talk to his people about your troubles. A great group of people, of Jesus' people, is your small groups that you will meet with in a few minutes here. If you feel comfortable, you can always share something that you're going through with them, and they're there to help. You're not in this alone at all. You got them. You have your small group leaders in your small group who can help you in a lot of situations. And the third thing is a little different than the other 2, but it is to be there when others are hurt. It's kind of like the second thing, but you're helping other people because just how you might be feeling alone in something and having a trouble, and you're relying on your small group or somebody to come through for you, you can be that person through somebody else. You might be the person that Jesus sent to help somebody right now. So something that I want you guys to try to do this week is check in with some people, your friends or your family. Just ask them how they're really doing and make sure they're all right. You can send them a text or just talk to them and be like, hey, you good? Yeah. But to wrap things up, knowing Jesus, it changes everything. I found out this last week because I feel like I've gotten to know him a lot better. and know what his actual life on earth was really like. And because of him, because of Jesus, you're never alone. He's always there with you, and he always wants to and can help you in whatever you're going through. So as you're heading out to your small groups, I want you guys to keep in mind one area in your life where you feel like you could really use somebody who understands. Because there are going to be some questions on that, and you can have some good discussion. And remember that second thing of the three things, and the third thing, helping your peers, and if you feel comfortable, you can share and try to get some help from Jesus' people.